Well, what a weekend. Here I am, back from Santa Pod. It's still currently raining outside, so I'm inside there to film this bit so I can lead into the footage that I did get. Now, it was a fantastic weekend, if a really, really short weekend. And there was loads of catastrophes. There was rain, there was heat, there was failure of tech. Oh, what a wonderful weekend that was kind of ruined by the bad weather and the tech failure. So I didn't get an awful lot of footage. What we did do, left here at around about 4 o'clock in the morning, pulled into Santa Pod shortly after 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was already at something like 17 or 18 degrees throughout the day. It climbed to a fantastic, overwhelming 27 degrees. It was absolutely amazing on the Friday morning. Got a little bit of footage, which is coming up shortly. And then around about 4 a.m. Saturday morning, it started raining and it just kept coming and coming. Ground was flooded, puddles everywhere, everything was soaked, the track was closed, nothing going on. And then we made a decision that may have been a little bit regrettable later on. However, when you make a decision, you've got to go with the decision that you make. Anyway, now if you've been to Mopar Nats before, you'll know that on the Friday night there's a cruise. And when I go to the Mopar Nats and the cruise is on, I usually walk up to the gate, stand outside, set the camera up, and film all the cars leaving off for the cruise. And then go back in and do something else or get some of the footage or maybe have something to eat. This year was slightly different and it was going to be fantastic. This year, one of my mates, Aaron from Concert, Aaron, if you're watching this, hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. He was down there in his 69 Dodge Charger and he offered me and a couple of friends of mine to get in the car with him and go along on the cruise so we could all enjoy the cruise together. Now, I thought originally this would be a fantastic opportunity to get some better footage than I normally get because I'd be in one of the cars and would be surrounded by all the rest of the cars in the cruise as well. However, that didn't quite go according to plan. We were a little bit delayed to start with because we all forgot the fact that we'd need our tickets to get them scanned on the way out and get them scanned back in again. So we caught up with those, got our tickets, got in the car. This is some little bit of footage that I did get of all the cars lined up in position, ready to head out for the cruise. So you can see that now as we're talking about this. So here's all the cars that lined up in the cruise. Now, partway through filming this second segment, the camera decided it had completely had enough and it froze on this wonderful Dodge pickup, or the Dodge pickup you see in a couple of moments. The camera just froze. There was around about another 3 or 4 minutes of footage that I'd recorded, but the camera decided it wasn't playing the game. I think the heat got to it. On top of that, none of my microphones were working. Had them all plugged in. They all looked as though they were working, but they weren't pick up any sound. So this is a bit of the cruise. And then when we did get in the car and we've headed off for the cruise, obviously we ended up with this Range Rover in front of her, which just ruined the view completely. Did manage to get a little bit of footage of a few of the cars pulling out of the gate of Santa Pod. And then we travelled down, obviously couldn't get an awful lot of footage, and we travelled down to the amazing venue that had been set up for to go to and have a look around there. Now, I did get around about 10 minutes of footage all in of the venue we'd gone to for the cruise. Unfortunately, the camera had better ideas, and this is what I actually got 10 minutes of when I got the footage downloaded to the computer when I got home in order to edit it. So it's just a complete 10 minutes of nothing but this little segment of concrete in the car park for some reason, which is a real shame because it was a wonderful venue. They laid on some free snacks for us, so I had crisps, biscuits, cans of pop, etc. Absolutely great place to go to. Sadly, you can't see any of it because my camera didn't record any of it, which was absolutely brilliant, obviously. However, before we headed off for the cruise and managed to get down there to the leaving point to meet up with everybody else, did manage to get some footage. Now, this footage you're going to see now is a group of the Nostalgia. I think it was the Nostalgia Superstock class that were racing. This is just a few of the cars that were parked around us, heading off to the pit lane in order to get ready to do the racing. The one in the final one you'll see is local to me, mate of mine, Andy Robinson's fantastic 1968 Dodge Coronet, 440 powered and a massive 850 horsepower. Fantastic car. You can see that there, heading off down. You'll see it in a couple of moments, heading off down the track. And then obviously I'll throw in some footage of the one and only race that I caught of Andy actually shooting up the track. And after that, it's pretty much where it all went a little bit pear-shaped. Obviously, on the Friday night, we all headed off down to the pub on site, chatted to a few people, didn't have a camera with us, didn't want to risk losing it or breaking it in the whatever the fun we're going to have was what as we were wandering around. So we spent a good few hours in the pub, and then, as I say, around about 4 o'clock on Saturday morning, the rain started. It didn't let up. We were all sat outside the motorhome or inside the motorhome that we're in throughout Saturday, from getting up and having breakfast and wandering around in the light rain that it was then. But then it got heavier. The place flooded. The puddles were everywhere, and we were all sitting around twiddling our thumbs. Now, I couldn't go out and get any footage because all of the cars on site either had covers on them, or they were in the trailers, or they were all locked up and you couldn't get anywhere near them. Obviously, nothing going on in the rain, nothing happening. People were just sitting around talking to each other, wandering around the venue in the rain, seeing if they could find something to pass the day. And as we were all there, sitting twiddling our thumbs, there didn't seem to be really an awful lot of point in hanging around. The weather forecast looked as though the rain was in for the day, and there was a threat, if you like, because of the weather, that there would be no racing that day. There would be nothing going on that day. Everything would be cancelled. The decision was taken by the owner of the motorhome, the driver of the motorhome, Mick. We had a conversation, obviously, the three of us, there were three of us staying in the motorhome. We all had a conversation together and kind of came to the decision that there wasn't really a lot of point in staying. The chances were there was going to be no racing happening that day. The weather really wasn't looking that good for Sunday morning either. And especially if you haven't got a car there to race and you're not part of the racing, there didn't seem to be really a lot of points in hanging around. You have to remember, on this particular occasion, although I've been there many times previously and stuck out the entire weekend regardless of the weather, This particular time round, this was Mick's first time round, first time at Santa Pod, and it was also my mate Dave's first time at Santa Pod as well. And obviously, when the rain comes down, everything stops. So we kind of made a decision amongst the three that the best idea was going to be to head home. So at around about 2:30 Saturday afternoon, locked all the van up and put everything away, fired up, and we actually pulled out of the site and headed home at around about 2:30 on Saturday afternoon. And I think we must have been on the road for a good couple of hours, and we got a text saying that the rain had stopped, the track had been dried out, the track had opened, the racing was on. We should have stayed, but you know, it's one of those things. You make a decision, you think you're doing the right thing at the time, and it turns out to be the wrong thing. So we had a leisurely drive on the way home, pulled over a couple of times, had something to eat, and, you know, went to the loo, had coffee, stuff like that. And we got home later on that night. I think it was around about 9 o'clock that night when we got home. We weren't hurrying. There was no need to hurry. We were just all coming back home. So we made it home. Everybody was nice and safe. Everybody was nice and dry. It's just a shame that we were let down, or I was let down, depending how you look at it, by the weather, the tech playing up, the heat. I think the heat on the day, because I haven't up until then, I hadn't actually used the cameras outside for a long length of time in something like 27, 28 degrees, wherever it was at that time in the afternoon when I was filming. So I think the heat got the cameras. The cameras weren't playing the game. For whatever reason it was, the microphones didn't want to pick up any sound at all. They'd all been fully charged before. I had plenty of spare batteries that were charged up. I had plenty of microphones that were charged up, but none of the microphones wanted to work or pick up any sound. So it is what it is. So a pretty disastrous weekend all round for entertainment. However, the three of us thoroughly enjoyed it. Friday was absolutely amazing, getting there in amazing sunshine, having the heat of the day. Truly difficult trying to get sleep at night, I know, because it was like an oven trying to get sleep through the night. However, did eventually fall asleep. I think the alcohol may have helped with the falling asleep, obviously. And of course, it's still raining outside this afternoon as well, which is absolutely brilliant. But when you live in the UK and you go to an outdoor event where you need to have at least dry weather, you can't guarantee it in the UK, even though we did have an amazing, what was it, 2, 3? It seems like it was 3.5, maybe months of absolutely fantastic heat and sunshine, and everything was amazing. And then you get down to somewhere that is really, really weather dependent, and the heavens open on that particular weekend. Did it ruin the weekend? No, I don't think it did. It didn't for me. It definitely didn't really ruin the weekend for me. Mick and Dave both said that they thoroughly enjoyed it, and they were looking forward to going back again. It is the UK after all. It's what you've got to get used to. The information I have with Andy, he was racing again on the Sunday. There was some more racing on the Sunday. Now, he's amazing Dodge Coronet. He had a dial-in time of 9:95, and I believe that he went through the end of the track, or the finish line even, something like 9:96, I think it was. So he was really happy with that. Great weekend's racing for everybody there was concerned. As far as I know at the moment, there was no problems, there was no accidents, there was no incidents. Everybody that went down the track did go down the track. Oh, apart from one gentleman that I spoke to who was camped really close to us, and they must have spent pretty much all day Friday working on the car in order to get it running properly. When they finally did, they went out for a run. I didn't see it. We were away doing something else in another part of the venue, but he did actually get one running down the track. And sadly and happily, sadly, at the end of the track, when he went flying through the track, and I think he was doing something like 100, something like that, he put his foot on the brake and there was no brakes. So he went straight into the runoff field at the end of the track. But no damage to him, no damage to the vehicle, or no serious damage to the vehicle. Did manage to get it out there and get it back down to the pit area where he was camped, and he got the brakes fixed for the next afternoon. Unfortunately, the weather, obviously, as I say, was pretty bad on Saturday. So I'm really sorry that this is like a crap video with regards to the Mopar Nats, but weather-wise and tech-wise, it was a disastrous weekend, although I really enjoyed it, even though it was just like one full day and a full day and a half. Still really enjoyed it. What can I say? That's it, pretty much. Great weekend, shim about the weather, shim about the tech problems. If I get the ability to go next year, I'll still be there next year. If you've enjoyed this video, press the like button on the way out and consider subscribing to the channel for more tech failures and weather failures coming up in the future, as they're bound to, now that we're partway through the summer and it seems the heat's disappeared. Thanks for watching this one. See you next time. Bye for now.